So this pastor completely loses his mind. I mean, mid-sermon, just I don't know where he got this information from. I don't even know what the topic of this sermon essentially was. But this, what you're getting ready to see, is going to be 100% of an example of exactly what shouldn't be being preached across any pulpit, any platform. It's an exact example of what shouldn't even be happening in the Christian community. I mean, seriously, it makes me start to pose the question of where are these people getting this stuff from? And are they like practicing it? Are they rehearsing it? Which means they're sitting there for days on end. Ooh, I'm gonna get them with this one. This one's gonna hit. But it never makes sense. And majority of the time, if I could be honest with you, majority of the time, some of the crazy things that you hear some of these pastors saying have absolutely nothing to do and with the word of God. And furthermore, you can't even find what they're saying in the word of God. Let's get into this clip. Brace yourself. Here we go.
Good idea when your wife starts that, I just don't like this, I just don't like that, for you to turn around and look her right in her God-given eyeballs and say, shut your mouth. Just shut up. But if you're the man you ought to be, you'd have been doing that all along. You're supposed to lead your house. You're not supposed to follow her.
Okay. So this is going to be very informative for everyone. This gentleman here taking the approach that as a leader in a home for men and women, you may enjoy hearing this because you're going to get some information on really what it's supposed to look like, what it should sound like, and what really are the benefits of actually having a godly man as your head. So we know the men are the head of the home, and it's their responsibility, their duty to lead, to guide, train the kids up in the way that they should go. There's certain things that head is responsible for. Now, what this gentleman is pretty much saying is that when things get a little hectic, when things get wild, you gotta assert essentially your father bear. You want to get dominant and yell and scream. Not only, like I said, is this completely against the word of God, and this is what saddens me, because people on the outside looking in, they don't really know how things are when it comes to Christianity and the faith. They just see what they're getting. And when they see stuff like this, it's almost no wonder people will say, there's no way I'm going to get into that faith. There's no way I'm going to subscribe to such an ideology, if you will, such a religion, such a belief. Because it's being expressed completely wrong. When it comes to leading, yes, that does make the man someone who is making majority of the decisions, someone who does have, in some situations, majority of the final say. But it should be easy to follow a lead and to follow a man's final say or his decision and choice, because you should be coming from the understanding that this man is a man of God, and that man should actually be being an actual man of God. Yelling and screaming and telling someone to shut up. Not saying that it hasn't happened, not saying that people don't do it, but it is something that as men, as leaders, and men of God for that matter, we have to understand that there is a better way to effectively communicate. Being a good leader is also leading by example. So if when I'm frustrated as a leader, as a man, as a head of a home, if I'm frustrated as the head and my response is to yell, is to curse people out, get angry, punch holes in the wall, throw things, and I've been there. Don't get me wrong. I've been there. You know, we've all been there. We've been young. We've been in situationships we had no business being in, causing us to develop characteristic traits we had no business having. So I've been there. I've been in that situation. But when I have to think as a leader, someone who leads by example, I have to know that those same people that I'm leading, they're watching me respond to adversity. They're watching me deal and manage my own emotions. And that's what they'll start to do because I'm leading by example. That's what they'll start to think is normal. Why would a preacher, anyone for that matter, but specifically a preacher, why would he ever want young women to hear and think that being yelled at and being demeaned, if you will, is something that you should allow to happen to yourself because that's the Christian? No. When it comes to leading and being a man, he's pretty much telling people, you tell her, shut up, you run that place, you're in control, not her. It's very much of a narcissistic approach, a very narcissistic way of thinking about it. Because the reality in the Bible, it tells us that as a husband, for me, I have to give myself up for my wife. And I have to seek the highest regard for her. So I have to love her more than I love myself. I wouldn't yell at myself, say terrible things to myself, and I wouldn't want someone else to do that to me. And if I have to, and if I'm called to love her more than me, to give myself up totally for her, yelling and all of that is nowhere part of the equation. And for the women that are listening to this, that's what you get when you get a man of God who actually has an active relationship with God and is really devoted to it. You're getting a man that is going to give himself up for you, seek your highest regard, which means whatever it is that you're needing, your highest regard, taking care of your mental health, physical health, taking care of you emotionally, all of that, seeking your highest regard, putting you above him, your needs above his. That's what you get when you're getting a man of God that's actually in an active relationship. That's why I push and encourage people to get into active relationships with God, to make sure that they have an individual relationship with God. Because if you're just going to church, and there's nothing wrong with church, because church is for fellowship, and God calls us to fellowship. But if that's all you're doing, and after you leave that church building, there's nothing else going on in your life that can demonstrate that you're having an active relationship with Christ, I think that's where the enemy comes in and starts allowing messages like this to go forth, having men behaving like this, causing marriages not to survive, even in the Christian community. And that shouldn't be the case. And it's because we're receiving false information. And this is false information. I understand that it happens. Don't condemn yourself if you happen to be a man that at some point in time in your relationship, in your marriage, or whatever the case may be, you've done that. You've raised your voice. You've told her to shut up. You've used foul language. You've went very far. You've allowed yourself to go far in your anger. Don't condemn yourself. Don't beat yourself up. But take this as a time to realize that we have to lead, yes. We have been given authority, yes. But we don't want to abuse it as men, and especially as men of God. We don't want to abuse that authority because we have to lead by example. And you have to remember that even your wife and your children, they're watching you, your every move, how you make decisions when you're frustrated, how you handle yourself, how you carry yourself when you're met with adversity. How resilient are you? These are qualities and traits that they need to feel secure, loved, protected, sought after. That's what they need. And that's truly what God has called. That is the power and the authority and the gift that he's given us as the head. To do that, not to drag and force and use all this authority because I'm a man. It's not it Dust your boots off. It's not a competition. This isn't a testosterone party. We can chill out and become what we need to become, who God definitely designed us to be as men, because we need our men, bro. We need our men, and we need our men to understand how powerful they are. And we also need our women to understand how much of a blessing it is when you are actually in a relationship, in a marriage, in a union with a man of God who has an active relationship with Jesus Christ. That's all I got for you guys on this one, man. Appreciate it if you stayed all the way through to the end. To the next one, y'all. Pray for the men. I'm out.